Good afternoon, welcome to my channel. Today I'm working on the Van's RV-14 again. Today the work in particular is going to be on the flap actuation system. There's some flap blocks that the flap torque tubes mount through and rotate through. I'm going to be cutting those blocks and installing them. So I hope you enjoy. So here's the airplane. It's just one of Van's RV-14 kits. Done quite a bit of work to it the last couple of years. The empennage, obviously. There's the quick build wings and the quick build fuselage. Obviously the tail is riveted on now, so I'm a fair bit way through the empennage kit. It's pretty much done. Just got these control surfaces all here for the empennage. They're pretty much ready to be fully assembled. Just waiting for something called a pre-cover. So in Canada, when we're building these amateur built kit planes, something you have to do is get areas looked at by somebody who's approved to do so to ensure that the work is done correctly. And what I mean by pre-cover is, for example, there's a section up here in the vertical stab in this area where once the skin is riveted on and it's all assembled, you won't be able to look inside. So before this is completely sealed off, it needs to be looked at. That applies to all these control surfaces I built. These are all quick build stuff, so that's already been looked at. Same with anything in the tail, although there's less crevices that won't be accessible. You can pretty much access everything once it's built all the way through. You know, as you can see, all the way back there. But anyways, we'll get going on these flap actuating blocks right here. As you can see in the instructions, they put out measurements, and this is a one-to-one template, but obviously I can't really see where they want to cut, so we'll measure out the different spots like they provided here for one of the flap brackets that goes on the outside. Bolts on right in there. There's another one, it's a little bit rounder. Bolts on more on the inside of the fuselage near the center, where the flat motor, it'll be bolted kind of in here, and the flap torque tubes will come up right here, and then they'll come through each side going to each wing, and then this is where that block bolts to, right in there. So let's get started on that. What I'll be doing is I'm going to take this caliper and I'm just going to take that measurement right there. It says 38.1 millimeters. I'll go to that on here. .1, that'll be close. And now I'm going to orientate this the same way, like this. And then I'll just measure like that from the bottom. And I'll grab a marker and mark it where I need, but basically that's all I'm going to be doing. Same on this side, and then same for measuring where it angles down there. And then I'll use a combination of this bandsaw and this belt sander to get it to where I want it. So with the right lighting, maybe you can see, there you go, I've scratched a line in it with the caliper just by doing that. And I've got the first cut that I need to make going across the top. get it to look like that, and then I'll do this one as well. As you can maybe see, there we go. I've just been marking notches like what's shown on the blueprints, and I draw a line across. This one's particularly tricky because of the curves that it wants me to cut, but they give dimensions for cutting it square and then rounding it, so that's what I've been doing. So you can see I've already done this top one, and I'm working on this, making this cut right here, and then I'll do the same for this one and for this corner. I just use this, put the measurement in, line it up, scratch it in, and then I take the ruler with a pen, scratch it into the material, and then cut it with the bandsaw, and if I need, touch up with the belt sander. So far it's been going good. Okay, now I got these nicely cut out. Just gotta radius the corners like that. There we go. Got all these made. These ones, like I said before, go on the outside. They'll just get bolted in like that. And the other ones go, which way? This way is up and towards the rear. So this will get mounted like so. So I got through installing those bushing blocks for the flap torque tubes, and I realized that my camera memory was full. Just to skip ahead, I guess, this is what they look like installed. The outboard ones, and then of course this is the torque tube. I just have it loosely installed. It's not actually bolted in yet. Just to see what it looks like, what it feels like. But there you can see near the middle of the airplane, and the outside ones. I did make a mistake on these outside ones. I just went ahead and I torqued these bolts to what they're supposed to be torqued to, 28 inch-pounds for these ones in particular, for an AN3 bolt with the type of nut that they have. But with these blocks, you're not supposed to torque them. I pulled the, after I realized my mistake, I loosened these bolts off, had a look, and there is a bit of an indent, but other than that I don't see any major damage on these blocks. I only torqued the outside ones. I realized my mistake before I put those inboard blocks in. So these outboard ones, I just loosened them, and then you're just supposed to tighten them until there's a turning resistance, which is what I did, and so now these are properly fastened. And obviously those are a self-locking nut, so it'll keep them from backing off. So the next step, I'm thinking, will be, I'm really getting close to the time when I get this stuff pre-covered. In terms of work on the fuselage, there isn't a whole lot left I can do. I guess I could get that, I could start working on that flap motor and actually getting this piece right here installed. If I flip to the page where I install it, unless it can only be done after the luggage floors have been installed. If that's the case, then I have to wait until after the pre-cover. I can put this together. I have it loosely clecoed in the airplane, but this is something I could do in the meantime on the fuselage. Sticks are already in. Could clock that correctly, because these holes on this center piece here, where there's actually 3 pieces here. There's these 2 torque tubes on each side, obviously, and then there's this jointer or splice or whatever you call it in the middle where they slide into. And there's guide holes here, but these need to be clocked correctly with this. And then the holes need to be drilled out and then bolted. And so that's what I'll do next. So these are ready and they're easy to quickly install once I'm able to do that. And then next, I'll start working on this. And I'll actually just show you guys real quick the other thing I'm waiting on with the wings. As you can see, there's 2 ribs missing here, and then this one's just fitted in loosely. This one's actually riveted in via the skin. And an issue I ran into that slowed me down a little bit, I think I got a solution now that I'm waiting on. But these Cherry Max rivets, usually with a blind rivet is the technical name. Pop rivet is probably a lot more commonly known, but usually with those you could use something like a wedge or to slide over the mandrel to offset. So if you're pulling the rivet in a tight space and the rivet puller is right up against something, say a flange or say in a corner like this where you can't quite get it in there and you can't get it square on the head of the rivet and the mandrel isn't quite perpendicular to the head of the rivet, on a regular pop rivet, something like this, you know, it's a very simple aluminum pop rivet, blind rivet. Something like that, if you're pulling the mandrel at a slight angle, it's not the end of the world. As long as you're using some sort of modified wedge to slide over the mandrel, that head is going to be flush against the surface and it's going to pull just fine. But a Cherry Max rivet like this, they're a lot more finicky to that. And if it's not pretty much being, if this mandrel isn't being pulled pretty much perfectly perpendicular to the head of the rivet, it will break prematurely. And it's kind of hard to see, but these 2 in each corner, you can kind of see that mandrel isn't pulled all the way out and that lock collar isn't all the way locked in. And I'll just grab a flashlight and I'll show you the back side of it. And so that the mandrel ends up breaking prematurely, the rivet doesn't fully set, and that core, I guess, I don't know what it's actually called, I just say the core of the mandrel, is actually supposed to get pulled inside of the rivet and it adds strength. But as you can see on these ones, that doesn't happen. And so to get these wings ready to go, and these are really the last thing I'm waiting to complete before I get the pre-cover organized. I'm waiting on a special, it's an FSI hydraulic hand riveter that I'm waiting to get repaired with an offset Cherry Max puller head so that I can get up into that corner. And I actually have part of the kit here that I can show you. And then this is, it's a really nice set, but you can see how once I have the actual tool, of course, I'll be able to get right up in there perfectly. Now what happened, and the reason why it's not here, is this is the first time I've ever gotten a tool like this. And of course, being excited when I received it, something I learned afterwards is you're never, ever, ever supposed to pump it while you have the head off, or the, I don't know what you call it, the master shaft in here. And anyway, I did that and I overextended the piston, which blew a seal or something, and it leaked oil everywhere. So I got that sent away to get fixed. That'll hopefully be here in a couple of weeks. Get the fuel tanks way over there leak tested. I did do one on one of them and it seemed to be okay, but I'm going to do another one just to be sure, and I'll do both tanks obviously, so I can get those tanks bolted back on. I'll do what I can on the fuselage in the meantime, and I'll show you guys, take you along to show you that whole process. I'm thinking the next thing is going to be this roll bar here. And of course, if you've ever seen on the RV-14s, it's got a tip-up canopy. It'll tip up like this. The hinges are right here. They latch in. like that. And but yeah, I'm thinking next I'll prep this, get it ready to assemble, and then it's gonna be the pre-cover. I apologize again that I didn't show all of the process for installing those flat bushings. It's super simple, just bolt them in. There's not much to miss there. Once that tool is fixed, like I said, get those root ribs installed the rest of the way on the wings. And actually another thing was, even though I'm pretty far into this airplane, there's still tons that I'm learning all the time. One of those things, since I didn't have to deal with this since I'm doing the quick build kit, but see how this is bulging out in between the rivets here? That's because I didn't flute this. So that's another thing. That's an easy fix though, to flute that so it doesn't bow like that. And basically all that fluting is, if I go to another rib, see how it's neatly bent there, so this flange follows the curve of the top of the wing properly. That's all I have to do, and I've got a special set of pliers for that. One of these. And in summary, over the next couple videos of working on this airplane, it's going to be the roll bar, those root ribs, pre-cover inspection, finishing the elevator and the rudders and getting those installed, and yeah, going on from there. That's the gist of it. And yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I look forward to sharing more on this airplane building process.